today I'm here with Mike and Paul, and the first question I wanted to ask is, can you tell me the story behind the Old Justice?
Yeah. So Will and I saw this pub in September 2022. We were looking to get our first pub, and we walked in here, and I mean, the wood paneling and the pub itself speaks for itself. It's just very warm and beautiful. We realised that the pub had been closed for 7 years. They were trying to turn it into flats, and the local community came together and started a petition. That was picked up by the local council, who then went on to list the physical bar and the wood paneling. So the outside of the building was already listed. They listed the wood paneling and the bar. So the bar had to be rebuilt because it had been destroyed. This has been the same pub with 80% of the inside wood since 1933. So that's when it was rebuilt last time, and it has that Tudorian style. It's loaded with history. We could go on for hours. We have stories from people every second day about it.
To this day, we still have people who come in and say, oh, I remember drinking it here in 1996 with my parents, grandparents. They've had family events here, they've had birthdays, they've had weddings, so it's sort of steeped in the history of the community, which is lovely.
Do both of you have a fond experience that sticks out to you working in the pub?
Fun experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anything can shock me anymore. I had a woman come in here, probably in her 40s, walk in here and said, I was conceived in this pub. Her parents met working behind the bar. I don't know what happened, but yeah, she's a product of this pub, which kind of makes it her pub probably more than anybody's.
Yeah. We had a birthday party here. I sort of went to the other side of the bar and came back to check on them about 2 hours later, and they were doing a strip routine for their friends. I was like, cool.
There you go.
Never a dull day.
And then how did the two of you get started here?
Will and myself got the keys, and then we did about 80% of the work ourselves. It was a building site.
Yeah.
You wouldn't recognize it now. And so, because we did it with our own money that Will and I had saved up for years and years, we took over a pub in East London, and that enabled us to kind of have a bit of capital. So we managed to do this without any outside investment and without any bank loans. Yeah, I mean, we did everything you see here is basically us. So there was no heating, no electricity at all. So those are the two things that we did not do. But the rest of it is just all us. Once we did open, we wanted Mike on board from the get-go. We then kind of slowly started to build it. So it was very much a shell, even when we opened. And now, little by little, we've kind of Mike's put his touch on things and added kind of a bit of decoration and then furniture and all that.
And what's the most exciting part about working for an independent pub?
That's a question for you because you work
That's
for
right, yeah. It's the openness of communication that you have with the customers and the companies that we work with as well. Everyone from the beers that we buy everything direct. We like that sort of personal relationship with them. It means that we can be quite exciting with the range that we offer. We can put our own stamp on it. We hope it creates a vibe that when people come in, it feels like it has our own personality to it. Made by us, but also made by the community who are the regulars here. So we wanted it to be somewhere that people recognised as somewhere that still was respectful of the history that it had, but can still have a bit of flair and a bit of charm and a bit of quirkiness to it. We can respond to what people in the area kind of want, whether they want music, whether they want games, whether they want quizzes or things like that.
A lot of people, like a lot of our older regulars, I guess, this is kind of a place where they know the staff will be welcoming and sit and chat with them for an hour or two, and they can have a pint and chat with other people they know around.
Yeah,
And then I guess on the flip side, as you were sort of talking about, what the most challenging parts about being an independent pub for you guys?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is those chains are kind of eating up independent pubs. They drive a form of competition that increases prices. It becomes a norm to pay £6.97 for a pint of Guinness. We're independent and we managed to sell it for a £5 and survive for a year. First year of business. Do those companies really need to do that? I mean, yes, price is going up massively. It's a real challenge for us on a daily basis. But trying to commit to being an affordable pub, having 3 pints that are a £5, and keeping that going is kind of, yes, it's a challenge, but that's where it becomes interesting, really, is kind of how do you work with that.
And how did you guys come about CityStack? Why did you decide to join CityStack?
Ours came by very early when we'd been open, while we were still forming the shell out of it. as Paul said, independent pubs are a dying breed. It was so lovely to be able to, one, put ourselves on that map with a bunch of these other places starting a new business, but also to feel part of that community, part of that ecosystem. So it's a real champion of encouraging people who come here to check out other places. Some other pubs that we really love are on that list, and so to be a part of that felt really important to kind of do.
It creates that connection.
It does,
like
yeah.
Mike was saying, and therefore it kind of creates a feeling of having other people going through the same things at different stages. Seeing that they've managed to achieve that makes our struggles, or the things that are a bit more complex, brings them down to a place where you're like, oh, actually, people can do that. People are doing that.
It's quite inspiring.
We're not going totally wrong with this.